beast man, for he is the devil's pawn. He kills for sport, or lust, or greed. Yea, he will murder his brother to possess his brother's land. Shun him, for he is the harbinger of death.
In the case of Neanderthals and humans, they evolved on completely separate continents. Humans evolved in the temperate, warm, fertile savannas of Africa. Neanderthals evolved in the frozen glacial wastelands of Ice Age Europe. In fact, the two species, when they met again, had been apart for over 500,000 years. It's inconceivable from a Darwinian perspective that Neanderthals and humans would still resemble each other after 500,000 years. All this suggests to me that Neanderthals did not look like humans. Which raises an interesting question. What did they look like? Actually, once you get rid of all the anthropomorphic bias and the inherent flaws in the reconstruction technology, answering this question is not particularly difficult. And that's because, ultimately, Neanderthals were members of the order of primates. They were primates, and as such you would expect them to maintain the appearance of primates. The fact that humans no longer look like their primate ancestors is, I believe, due to completely unique ecological and environmental circumstances. These circumstances certainly didn't apply to Neanderthals. So in light of that, you would expect them to maintain the appearance of a tall bipedal primate. In Africa, where humans evolved, there was a wide range of prey species that could be hunted. There was also an endless variety of edible plants, fruits, berries, nuts, fungi, and even shellfish. By comparison, in Ice Age Europe, where Neanderthals evolved, there were only about 5 or 6 edible plants, and those that did grow there were of such low nutritional value they weren't worth the time and effort to harvest. We now know that Neanderthals were cannibals. The first evidence of this actually surfaced in 1906. Since then, literally hundreds of bones have been discovered right across Europe, bearing the unmistakable cut marks of cannibalism. In other words, they stopped being hunter-gatherers and became exclusive hunters. But this is where it gets interesting. The prey they were forced to hunt included some of the fiercest, largest, and certainly most dangerous animals on Earth. These animals raised the bar and forced Neanderthals to become adept hunters. My contention is that this transformed them over 500,000 years into the apex predator of Europe. My theory that Neanderthals were flesh-eating predators is supported by new molecular analysis of their teeth enamel. This reveals that the Neanderthal diet consisted of 99% meat. In fact, that's all they ate. And there's only one way to get that much fresh meat, and that's by hunting. About 100,000 years ago, a group of European Neanderthals migrated into the Middle East, into an area currently occupied by Israel, Syria, Jordan, and Lebanon. Now, living there at the time was a group of ancestral humans. These were timid Stone Age hominids who'd moved up from Africa.
There is something that could settle this debate of where the Chinese come from. Professor Jin Li, one of China's leading geneticists. Recently, he led a project that set out to prove that the Chinese evolved independently from everyone else. Jin took DNA from over 160 ethnic groups around East Asia, over 12,000 samples. So, what did you find?
We did not see any, even one single individual that could be considered as the descendant of the Homo erectus in China. Rather, everybody was a descendant of our ancestors from Africa.
And the evidence suggests that the Neanderthals began hunting them, but not just for food. I believe that Neanderthal males also began hunting human females for sex. Now, this horrific period of sexual and cannibalistic predation went on for in excess of 50,000 years. It's this and only this scenario that explains why the 2010 draft sequence of the Neanderthal genome found categorically that Neanderthals had interbred with humans.